it's time once again for Your Life Matters with clinical social worker Dr. Beth Plachetka from Safe Harbor Counseling. And Dr. Beth speaks. And even on a Happy New Year morning, Dr. Beth able to join us in studio today. Happy New Year, Doctor. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you? And Happy New Year. I think this is our 5th or 6th Happy New Year. We've been doing this a long time.
Could be. Yeah. It's time has flown, and here we are kicking off a new year with a topic that's very time sensitive for this day.
Exactly, because we're talking about resolutions. You know, we at this time of year, we're always talking about, like, how can I be a better person? And I'm recommending Dr. Henry Cloud. He has a book called Necessary Endings. Now, he's not new to anybody who's been, like, in our business for a long. He does boundaries and all kinds of different books. But this book is especially timely for New Year's, because we know that every New Year's we're going to say, I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to, sleep more, blah, blah. And I don't know about anybody else, but usually within a week, maybe 2, we've slid back to the old habits that have worked because we have to get other stuff done. I don't have time to go to the gym. I got to do the laundry, so you do it. So what he talks about, and which I really appreciate, is if we're going to make a change, something that will really affect our lives, we have to go through the painful process of doing without, of ending something that we're used to, and so that something better can come along. So now that could still be unhealthy eating or ways of interacting with people, assumptions that we haven't changed since high school, relationships that have been neglected, or jobs that don't fit us.
Right.
Like, I think when I wrote that down to talk about it, I thought about leaving the school system. I've said how many times on here, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. But as time went on, I could just tell I was not loving it anymore. And I loved breaking down the concepts, seeing the kids, and I had no idea what I was going to do exactly. I mean, I had the practice, but it was small. And yet, as soon as I ended the school, the business grew. I started talking with you. I started writing stuff, giving presentations. The world expanded. I even got to go to the grocery store in the middle of the day. It was like phenomenal.
And there's nobody there.
Nobody there.
How nice is that? Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we know when we need to change? Pay attention to what causes us stress that is too intense or too frequent. An episode of stress is fine, but if it really is a lot, if it's causing you to be angry, to respond in ways you don't like, pay attention. Notice when it takes place, where it takes place, and with whom. So that's your first thing. Recognize the situation, then develop a plan. What would you like it to be like? How would it feel while you were living the way you would like it to be? Picture who else is in the situation and who isn't, what location it might be. And again, nothing says you have to do all those things, but you want to start thinking about anything can happen. What would you like to change?
Yeah, and as you're saying, develop a plan, I'm thinking, this would be a good idea to, jot some stuff down. And I notice that's like your next point that we want to cover is taking notes, because when you have it written down, it's just so much clearer, and you can remember what the great idea you had a week ago. Sometimes you don't write it down, it just gets lost.
Right, and you think, I'll do that in a minute, or what was that? What was that thought?
Yeah.
Right, and the other thing is, once you've got that list, get some support, because, it's so easy to fall back into, I'm afraid to do that. Is anybody, if you're changing jobs, is anybody going to hire me? Am I going to be living on the streets? I mean, we go to the worst sort of scenarios. Or what if I'm sorry and I wish I hadn't done it? Mm-hmm. So we all benefit, Mike. We all benefit from getting better, from changing. Change makes us stronger. It allows us to grow and see things differently. So we have to recognize the need for endings, overcome that fear, and remember that letting go is important to do. I highly recommend reading or listening to Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. He says it in a wonderful way. And for those of us who don't have time to read, listen while you fold the towels or drive to work.
That's right.
Because your life matters.
Yeah, and keep this in mind, not just January 1st, September 30th.
Any day.
May 12th, but whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a New Year's Day to make some of these positive changes for sure. check out information and resources on this topic or anything that we've discussed, you can do it online, safeharboril.com. You can contact the folks at Safe Harbor. Maybe not today. They're probably enjoying some New Year's time off, but certainly later this week if you'd like, 630-466-8657, and we'll do it again next week. Your Life Matters with clinical